Hello my precious everyone, welcome back to Wow Mel. If you can see my mom's saucy books in the back, no you can't. I hope having my Halloween decorations in the background isn't like in poor taste. It's that holiday season, baby. Today I wanted to discuss something that's a little bit more serious, and I feel like it's something that's not brought up very much within the cosplay community, and that is body dysmorphia and how it can affect cosplayers and what they cosplay. Well, mental illness in general isn't brought up much in the community, and even though it's uncomfortable and not always a happy topic, I think it's something important to talk about. Even if you don't experience it yourself, it can help you be a lot more compassionate to your fellow cosplayers and just people in general. With that said, I do want to provide a bit of a trigger warning as I'm going to be discussing body dysmorphia, self-esteem issues, just a lot of negative thoughts. I also want to point out that I'm not really going to be speaking about others' experiences, and more so I'm just going to be talking about body dysmorphia in my particular context. It's a little bit different for everyone who has it, and I by no means want to speak up on behalf of everyone who has BDD or experiences body dysmorphia, so I very much do want to make that clear. And lastly, I know a lot of my family and friends watch these videos. I do want you to know I am doing way better than I have been in the past. I'm still going to therapy, I'm still working on myself, working on meditating and doing the things I love. I'm very much getting better, and I really appreciate your support and love, but you don't have to be overly concerned about me. Okay, that's not the point of this video. With that said, I think that's all of my disclaimers. Let's get into it. According to Mayo Clinic, body dysmorphic disorder, or BDD, is a mental illness involving obsessive focus on a perceived flaw in appearance. The flaw may be minor or imagined, but the person may spend hours each day trying to fix it. People with this disorder may frequently examine their appearance in a mirror, constantly compare their appearance with that of others, and avoid social situations or photos. Even if you haven't been formally diagnosed with the disorder, I feel like a lot of people, now more than ever really, are struggling with feelings of body dysmorphia. I think it was freshman year or 8th grade when a very close friend of mine approached me and they mentioned how they think I fit a lot of criteria for BDD, and since then I've gone to therapy and I've worked with multiple psychologists in trying to treat it and cope. There was a point in my life where I actually made a list of clothes I banned myself from wearing, and I would spend around 2 hours, often in tears, trying to pick an outfit to wear to school the next day. And BDD also led me to a lot of disordered eating, and it was all around kind of a mess. I have gotten so much better, but to this day there still is a lot I struggle with, and that can and does come up in my cosplay. And so I think there is a question: why would I and many others with BDD or similar self-esteem and body issues cosplay in the first place? It is a form of expression that, at the end of the day, is centered around your appearance. I really wanted to kind of take a deep dive into that, and again, just speaking on my personal experiences of the ways body dysmorphia and cosplay kind of come together in my life. There are actually multiple good and bad aspects to it, and I kind of just want to touch on all of that for today's video. When I got into cosplay, there's actually this sort of initial draw because I got to shed my personal insecurities and portray someone else. I started cosplaying because I loved my D&D character Sylvestis so much that I just had to bring her to life. When I get in her makeup and her clothes, I feel like her. I don't feel like Mel, who has these insecurities. I feel like Sylvestis, who is this fierce protector and like a really feminine badass, and I just love her. And in some ways, I actually feel like doing cosplay and doing YouTube has helped me with my dysmorphia. Ever since I started these hobbies, I've been looking at myself a lot more, which, I mean, I always kind of looked at myself obsessively. Usually people with BDD kind of fall into two categories, where they avoid looking at themselves at all costs, or they look at themselves all the time and try and pick and fix themselves. I definitely fell into that second category, but when I see myself in cosplay, I'm looking at myself with a much more loving gaze, because I'm not trying to look at myself to pick myself apart. I'm looking at myself and seeing this character that I love so much. I don't know if this will make sense, but I'm looking at this character that I love. But I know it's still me. And so the more I cosplay, I'm getting used to looking at myself with love. And I think it really has helped me because I remember, I think it was 2 years ago maybe, some of my exercises in therapy, I would do like exposure therapy to get used to looking at myself. I remember one time I had to just hold up a mirror and look at myself for 15 seconds. And when I was doing that, I started crying. And so being able to see myself and not feel bad means so much to me. And I've been doing that a lot more thanks to cosplay. And it's really started helping me even when I'm out of cosplay. This might seem like a bit more of a minor thing, but also when I'm cosplaying, I'm trying to portray different people. And a lot of them have different makeup styles. Like Sylvester has freckles too, so I added freckles. And I'm sort of experimenting with all these different looks. And that's also helped me find what I genuinely think looks good on me and what makes me feel more confident in myself when I wear it. So I can take these things I learned from cosplay makeup and apply it to myself when I'm out of cosplay. It might seem simple, like a way to do your blush, but when you are struggling with your appearance, anything you can do to help you feel better about how you look is just a priceless treasure. Plus, the community itself has been incredibly sweet to me. And I know this is probably because I'm fairly new and not terribly popular, but I've only received positive feedback for my cosplays. It's just been people hyping me up and telling me they think it's so cool that I'm going for this and that I look beautiful and that I'm portraying the character super well. The community just makes me feel so accepted. So even photos I post that I feel a little insecure about myself, it's just been met with love. And it really helps me put things into perspective. Not that you want to buy too much into what other people are saying, because at the end of the day, your love has to come from you, but it can help to think, oh my god, like my hair looks awful in this photo, and then everyone is just loving you. It helps you realize that maybe you're kind of blowing things out of proportion, which is a nice sort of perspective shift to have once in a while. But while my experience is mostly positive, it's still something I struggle with, and dysmorphia can kind of sabotage my fun with the hobby on occasion. On a bad day, seeing photos of myself, even if I am in cosplay, can really exacerbate my insecurities, because the truth is that not all photos turn out well. I know you see cosplayers and they're posting all the good photos, obviously, but there are a lot of bad photos in between the good ones where you'll be caught in bad lighting, or you're mid-blink, or you're getting a weird angle and it's not particularly flattering. This happens to everybody, but when you're struggling with dysmorphia and insecurities, instead of just being like, ooh, that's not really a good angle, or we need to fix the lighting or whatever, it becomes more of a situation where it's like, either I'm a bad cosplayer or just straight up, I'm super ugly. I do, of course, want to reiterate that this doesn't happen super frequently to me. More often than not, cosplaying helps me feel better about myself, but it is true that sometimes it can be a catalyst for dysmorphic thoughts popping up. One of my particular insecurities is this little cleft on my chin, something that I know objectively most people don't even notice about me, and I myself only noticed it like a year and a half maybe ago on Zoom, and it's just been a huge fixation for me. And this particular insecurity does translate to my photos sometimes. I have some photos of me in my Makoto Nijima cosplay where I feel like the cleft in my chin looks particularly prominent, and it sucks because Makoto is one of my favorite characters from one of my favorite games, and we took these amazing photos. My best friend Bianca at That One Photo Chick is my photographer. Some of them I just don't know if I'll ever be able to post because seeing that cleft just makes me so uncomfortable. And as I mentioned my best friend Bianca earlier, she is my primary photographer. This leads to another piece that I think a lot of cosplayers will relate to. She takes the time to take these photos for me, but not only is it the physical act of taking the photos, she kind of plans poses for me and she picks out good locations, and then of course she edits them, and I know she has work and school, and for a lot of photographers, even if you're paying them, you know they are taking their time and energy to prepare these photos for you. It also creates this guilt. You know that they're doing all this for you. And then you look at some of the photos and you don't like them. And it's not because of anything that they have done wrong. They have got the pristine lighting. They took the great location. They got those nice angles. The editing is just, that's not the problem. It's just the problem is your face, or the problem is your body. But then you don't want to post the photo. Sometimes they'll want to post the photo, and then part of you is like, I really don't want you to post that photo. But you don't want to tell them no because they've worked so hard on it. It's just insecurity tied up with guilt, tied up with use of time and money. Yeah, that's a really slippery slope. And to be honest, some of the photos that I post on my cosplay Instagram at wow__mel, is it wrong to plug in a video like this? What's a video about my experience? I can post a video about my experience and plug myself, right? Okay, whatever. Some of the photos I post on my Instagram account, I actually don't necessarily feel like I look good in them, but I don't want both of our efforts to be wasted, so I push past it and post them anyways. And thankfully the reception is, well, so far it's always been positive, so that helps kind of reassure me and be like, okay, I was just getting in my head. But for a lot of people, this whole pushing past it is not something that they can do. And I think I'm able to do it partially because I'm surrounded by people who love and support me, and partially just because I've been going to therapy for like 7 years now and working on this stuff for 7 years, and it really has paid off. And I honestly don't think a few years ago I would have been able to do this, to do YouTube, to do cosplay, to post my photos. A lot of people use cosplay sort of as a form of therapy to help escape themselves. That's kind of what I do. For me, I love these characters and I get to be them and let myself go. And weirdly enough, in the process, it has made me more comfortable with myself. At the end of the day, the con is done or the photos are taken, and you take off your wig and you take off your contacts and you take off your makeup. It's just you under there. Some days that can be hard, but I feel like every time it gets a little easier. I wind up taking it off and I feel comforted to see myself. And I really think that is something I can only attribute to cosplay. I've worn straight long blonde wigs and they've looked super cute, but I realize I'm not meant to have hair like that. I miss my curls, I miss my frizz, I miss the character. I take off these beautiful brightly colored contacts and I look at my eyes and I see how pretty they are. The emotions are happening, and I know that it's not going to be for everyone. But if you're a cosplayer who struggles with body image, or you want to cosplay but you're afraid to go for it because of your insecurities, I would really encourage you to at least try. Of course, it's not going to make everyone magically feel better about themselves, but despite the bad days and despite how the bad photos can make me feel, it's been far outweighed by the beautiful community and the support from my family and friends, and just me becoming comfortable with myself, both when I don't look like me and when I do look like me. And it has been so therapeutic, and it is not something I want to stop anytime soon. I know this video might seem like a mess, and it kind of is, because I'm just kind of talking about my experiences, but I made this so that you remember that you're not alone, and to please keep pushing past the dark days, because there is a light. I do want to take a moment to point this out though, especially if you are in a particularly bad state. If you're posting your cosplay somewhere online, it is very possible that you will receive negative feedback. So I definitely do want to encourage you to be careful if you really think that sort of thing would hurt you. Maybe just turn comments off, or honestly hold off posting it until you feel a little better and a little safer. I definitely don't just want to be like Cosplay will fix everything. Post it everywhere and you will feel great, and then have someone follow my advice and receive something negative and really get down on themselves about it. If you are really just not in a good state, you really don't need any extra negativity. So just be aware of that. I know I said this a million times, but the community is honestly so lovely. They are so accepting. Everyone belongs here, even me and even you and even anyone else struggling with anything. If you're a part of the community or even just someone outside sort of looking in, please remember to keep spreading love, or at least just keep negative comments to yourself, because you really do not know what someone else is going through. You don't know if they're struggling in silence. I wanted to put my story out there partially just to help break the stigma of mental illness in general and specifically in the cosplay community, because it really just is not brought up much. And I know that mental illness is not the focus of the community, it's about the characters and the love of cosplay, but it's something that needs to be addressed. And I also partially brought it up just as a gentle reminder that even though someone is dressing up, maybe posting photos of themselves, or they look really confident, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're confident or feeling secure about themselves. So just remember to spread kindness and love, and also, even if someone is confident, maybe don't bully them. I have resources about body dysmorphia, mental illness, and similar things linked in the description. Please remember that you are loved, you belong in this community, you are not alone if you are struggling, and I hope that what I'm saying has resonated with some people, and that even though there are bad times, and I'm not going to pretend they're not, I hope you feel encouraged to keep trying and keep going. Don't be afraid to express your love for cosplay. Please stay safe and have a beautiful day, my precious everyone. I love you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!